Take down your fishing pole and meet me at the fishing hole. May not get a bite all day.
Oh, is that Dave? Hey, Dave! I've been fishing. I've been trying to catch some good jokes just like you do, and I haven't been able to find any in this fishing hole, so I thought we would go explore some other fishing holes to see if we can find any good fish to tell some tall fish tales and tell you some good jokes. So we hope you enjoy it.
Hey Dave, hope you're doing well. Wanted to touch base with you with a couple of jokes. Once upon a time there was a man who was getting older and suffering from Alzheimer's, and his wife of 40 years did all that she could, but she just could not do it anymore. He had gotten to a stage that he was wandering off and she didn't know where he was. He didn't know what his name was, and she just didn't know what to do but take him to a nursing home. So she took him to a nursing home, and as she was filling out the paperwork, he was sitting in a chair and he started leaning to the left, and a nurse ran over to him and put a pillow underneath the left-hand side. Then he started leaning to the right. She ran back over to him and put a pillow to the right-hand side. And he started leaning forward, and she ran over there and strapped him back in the chair so he'd stay there and be safe. And after the wife finished up all the paperwork, she came over and she said, "Honey, what do you think about the nursing home?" And he looked up at her with solemn eyes and said, "It's okay, but they just won't let me fart."
Hey Dave, I am wishing you well and praying for you daily, my friend. So I have a great joke for you. I hope you like it as much as it made me laugh. So a guy took his blonde girlfriend to her first football game. They had great seats right behind the team's bench. After the game, he asked her how she liked the experience. "Oh, I really liked it," she replied, "especially the tight pants and all the big muscles. But I just couldn't understand why they were killing each other over 25 cents. Dumbfounded, her date asked, "What do you mean?" "Well, they flipped a coin, one team got it, and then for the rest of the game, all they kept screaming was, 'Get the quarterback! Get the quarterback!' I'm like, hello, it's only 25 cents. I hope that brings some laughter to you, my friend. We love you and we're praying for you.
Hey Dave, did you hear about what happened over at First Presbyterian Church this past Sunday? At the regular morning service, the preacher announced that he was planning to leave for a larger congregation that would pay him more. There was a complete hush within the congregation. Nobody wanted him to leave because he's so popular. Cindy Minot, who owns several car dealerships in Concord and Salisbury, stands up and proclaims, "If the preacher stays, I will provide him with a new Cadillac every year." And hearing that, Tim Vaughn, who was sitting a couple rows back, who owns the local Ford dealership, stood up and said, "If the preacher will stay, I'll provide his wife a brand new Ford minivan to transport their children." And the congregation just sighed in appreciation and applauded. And Jay White, a successful businessman and a local attorney, stood up and said, "Well, if the preacher will stay on here, I'll personally double his salary and establish a foundation to guarantee a free college education for his children." And there were more sighs and more applause. And at this point, Lisa Perry stood up and announces with a big smile on her face, "If the preacher stays, I will give him sex." And there's total silence throughout the entire congregation. And the preacher is blushing and asks her, "Lisa, you're a wonderful and holy lady. Whatever possessed you to say that?" And by this time, Lisa's husband, Brian, is now trying to hide. He's holding his forehead with the palm of his hand and shaking his head from side to side, while his wife Lisa replied, "Well, I just asked my husband how we could help, and Brian said, screw him." I'm not sure that would pass the Gina test, but I thought it was really funny.
What did baby corn ask mama corn? Where's popcorn?
Hey Dave, Jacob and I are spending a boys' weekend out camping, doing some fishing, hanging at the beach, and we were actually just talking about that time when you were fishing with Jacob not too long ago there at Trent's Farm, and what a great memory that was. And so we want to share some fishing jokes with you. So I've got one. What did the trout detective say?
What did he say?
There's something fishy going on here.
What kind of guitar do fish play?
I don't know, what?
The bass.
Where do women fish keep their money?
Where?
In their octopus, of course.
All right, here's the last one. Did you hear about the crab that went to the gym?
No, what happened?
He pulled a muscle.
Oh, man. Anyways, we just hope that you recover quickly. We're thinking of you. Wish you the best, man. We love you, and God bless you.
Bye.
Hey, Dave. I'm going to speak slowly so your North Carolina ears can understand my Northern Rochester accent, okay? So here goes. I hope you enjoy the jokes. A woman and Jay were seated next to each other on a flight from LA to New York. Jay asked if she would like to play a fun game. The woman, tired, just wanted to take a nap and politely declined and rolled over to the window to catch a few winks. The lawyer persisted and explained that the game is easy and a lot of fun. Jay explained, I ask you a question, and if you don't know the answer, you pay me $5 and vice versa. Again, she declined and tried to get some sleep. Jay was now agitated, and he said, okay, if you don't know the answer, you pay me $5, and if I don't know the answer, I will pay you $500. Sounds like Jay. This catches the woman's attention, and figuring there will be no end to this torment, she plays the game. Jay asks the first question. What's the distance from the Earth to the moon? The woman doesn't say a word. She reaches into a purse, pulls out a $5 bill, and hands it to Jay. Okay, he says, it's your turn. She asks Jay, what goes up a hill with 3 legs and comes down with 4 legs? He was puzzled. He took out his laptop. He searched all the references. He couldn't figure it out. He tapped into his phone with his modem and searched the net. No answers. Frustrated, he sent an email to everyone at Hartzell and Williams. Again, no answers. After an hour, he woke the woman up and he handed her $500. The woman said thank you and turned back to get some more sleep. Jay, who is now a little angry, he wakes the woman up and says, well, tell me, what is the answer? Without a word, the woman reaches into her purse and hands Jay $5, turns around, and goes back to sleep. Thought that was pretty good.
Hey, Dave. Welcome to Green Acres. I was going to tell you, as a newly minted farmer, some farm jokes, but then I decided not to because they might be too corny.
All right. So what did one saggy boob say to the other saggy boob? If we don't get any support, they're going to think we're nuts.
Hi, Dave. It's the Kinsel family, and we have a little joke for you.
Why don't strings ever win a race?
I don't know, George. Why don't strings ever win a race?
They always die.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, George, why don't you tell us the one about Dave's cow?
Why did Dave's cow stop shaving?
I don't know. Why did Dave's cow stop shaving?
Because it grew a mustache.
Hey Dave, you know what you get when you cross an elephant with a rhinoceros? Hell if I know. Hang in there, buddy.
Hey Dave, Cindy Minot here. Thought I'd come up with a few things, maybe some jokes or something to cheer you up, make you laugh. I got to thinking about it, and, well, I have a cabinet maker joke, but you'd have to finish it. And then I thought, well, I've got this weather joke, but that would just be over your head. So I thought a little more. I have a soil science joke. I thought that'd be perfect, but it's too dirty. Then I have a whale of a beluga joke. But I also have a joke about a ball, but I think I'll pass on that. Then I have an archaeology joke, of course, but it's an old one. I have a weather joke, but it's pretty long-winded. Then I was thinking and thinking, I have a podcast joke, but maybe I'm hearing things. And then, well, I have a pediatrics joke, but you'd probably think that was childish. Of course, I have a wine joke. It's a corker. I had a fish joke, but the punchline is just floundering. I actually have a climate change joke, but it's too hot to handle. And then I have this great history joke, but it's all in the past now. I have an economics joke for what it's worth. And then I thought, well, I have this ecology joke, but this really isn't the right environment for it. So I'm really at a little bit of a loss here. So let me work a little more and get back with you on this. Take care. Bye.
Hey Dave, Dan Levinson here. Hadn't seen you in a little while. And as you can see, because of COVID, I haven't had a haircut in a little while too. Hair's getting kind of long, kind of crazy. Now listen, you and I have a lot in common. We have Gastonia in common. We have Gary Levinson in common. We have great families in common. But there's one thing that you and I don't have in common, and that's the love for the same university. I went to Chapel Hill. I'm a Tar Heel. You went to State. You're a Wolfpack, and we do not agree about that. So, I've got some Wolfpack jokes that I want to share with you tonight. Here goes. Dave, did you hear about the fire in the North Carolina State football dorm that destroyed 20 books? The real tragedy was that 15 hadn't been colored yet. Oh, that's sad. But that's a pretty good joke. Dave, how do you make University of North Carolina State cookies? Put them in a big bowl and beat them for 3 hours. That was good. Really like that one. Next one. Dave, did you hear about the 30 students who were stuck on the escalator for 3 hours? Oh, no. Did you hear about the power outage at the North Carolina State University Library? 30 students were stuck on the escalator for 3 hours. Got that one a little messed up. And finally, Dave, why do they not serve iced drinks at North Carolina State football games anymore? The student who knew the recipe graduated. Okay, that's all the North Carolina State jokes I have. Just wanted to say hello and look forward to talking to you soon. See you, Dave. Bye-bye.
Well, in all the years I've known you and all the jokes I've heard you tell, I have never once been offended by your jokes, even the blonde jokes. So this one is for you. There were 3 construction workers working on the 75th floor of a building that wasn't finished. They all took their lunch break together every day, and this one particular day, the 3 of them sat down and each one of them opened their lunch boxes. The first guy was an Italian guy, and he opened his lunchbox and looked inside and said, "Man, if I get a slice of pizza one more day, I'm just going to jump off this building to my death." The next guy was a Chinese guy, and he opened his box and looked inside and said, "If I get rice one more day, I'm going to have to jump off this building to my death." The third guy was a blonde guy, and he looked in his box and said, "Man, if I get a cheeseburger one more day, I'm going to have to jump off this building to my death." The next day, they took their lunch break together, and all 3 of them opened their lunch boxes. All 3 of them had the exact same thing they'd had the day before, so the 3 of them jumped off the building to their death. The next few days at the funeral, the 3 wives were together mourning their husbands' losses, and the Chinese guy and the Italian guy's wife got together, and they're crying and so sad, and they're both saying, "If we had only known, we would have packed them a different lunch." They both turn and look at the blonde guy's wife and say, "You know, why aren't you so upset? What's wrong with you?" And she politely looks at them and says, "I didn't pack his lunch, he packed his own lunch, so his death is his own fault." I hope you enjoyed that. We miss you. We hope to see you soon. Love you.
Actually, David, Mr. 4-H, I'm loving farming from my head to my tomatoes.
Dave, I don't know if I ever told you about the first time I met Philip McCauley, but we were both students at NC State. And he was riding this great bicycle. I said, Philip, dude, where did you get that bike? He said, Herbert, you won't believe this, but yesterday I was walking across the brickyard, and this good-looking co-ed rode up on this bicycle. She threw the bicycle down and took off all of her clothes right there on the spot and said, take what you want. I said, Philip, good choice. Those clothes probably wouldn't have fit you anyway.
Hey Dave, I hope you're feeling better. I know it's a very tough thing that you're going through, obviously, and that your family is obviously experiencing well. And I know that everybody's trying to obviously make you feel a little bit better this time with some jokes. So my jokes these days have always been centered around my kids, so I have a lot of dad jokes. So hopefully these will give you a little snicker. They don't make you laugh too much, but they make you cringe a little bit. So in that sense, my dad jokes are as follows. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. Oh yeah, they're this bad. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. Yeah, they keep going, just like this. How does a penguin put his house together? He glues it together. Oh, you want some more? I can battle you some more. So, why did the bicycle fall down? It was too tired. So, therein lies the kind of jokes that me and my kids have been getting along with. We kind of have some joke battles back and forth. And I know during this time, it's tough, and hopefully all the humor is helping in some way, shape, or form from everybody. I hope you get better and are getting better through this time, and that you're keeping your spirits up, that you and your family are doing well. I wish you the best, and I really hope to see you soon. Thanks, Dave.
I've also learned that on the farm, you can't tell secrets because the potatoes have eyes and the corn has ears. Shh.
Hi, Dave. Just a little humor for you. What do you call a camel with no humps? Humphrey. A horse walked into a bar and ordered a drink. The bartender said, "Why such a long face?" I'm sure you've noticed that geese fly in a V formation. They understood aerodynamics long before humans did. Have you ever noticed that one side of the V is longer than the other? Do you have any idea why? Because there's more geese on one side than the other. That's my funnies for you, Dave. Take care.
Hey Dave, got another joke for you. There was an older man, he was about 80 years old, and his name was John, and his birthday was coming up. And his nephew wanted to do something special for his birthday because John, unfortunately, lost his wife about a year ago. And John was a little bit depressed. And the nephew was his favorite nephew. And the nephew knew that he needed to do something to get him out of the bad spirits. So what the nephew decided to do was get him the best hotel room in the fanciest hotel in town. He also wanted to get him a dinner that he would never forget, and secretly get him a call girl. Well, on the fateful night, John got to the hotel in the mid-afternoon. He spent the afternoon at the pool, enjoying himself, relaxing. Then he went up to the room, got changed, and came down for dinner. When he had dinner, it was the most amazing dinner he'd ever had in his entire life. He started feeling better. Then he goes up to his room, And as he's sitting there getting ready for bed, he hears a knock on the door. He goes to the door, and there's a beautiful woman there, one that he had just could not imagine how beautiful she was. And he looked at her, and she looked at him, and he said, "Can I help you, ma'am?" And she looked at him, and she said, "I am here to give you super sex." And he looked at her and said, "I just ate, but I'll have the soup." How you like that one?
Well, how are you doing today, Dave? I hope you're feeling better. I thought I would do a little stand-up. Of course, nobody's ever accused me of being a good stand-up comedian, but they said the same about you as well. So, anyway, what I have for you are some questions for the ages. Number 1, how come we put a man on the moon before we put wheels on luggage? Number 2, why did doctors leave the room when you undress for an examination? Aren't they going to see you naked anyway? Number 3, if the professor on Gilligan's Island could make a radio out of a coconut, why couldn't he fix the hole in the boat? Number 4, doesn't the alphabet song and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star have the same tune? Didn't you just try to sing those 2 songs? Have a great day, Dave. Bye now.
I have one more for you, and of course it has to be an NC State joke. At NC State University, there are 4 sophomores taking organic chemistry. They did so well on all the quizzes, midterms, and labs, etc., that they each had an A for the semester. These 4 friends were so confident that the weekend before finals, they decided to go to Chapel Hill and party with some friends there. That's a no-no. They had a great time. However, after all the hard partying, they slept all day Sunday and didn't make it back to take their test until too late. Rather than taking the final, they decided to find the professor after the final and explain to him why they missed it. They explained that they had gone to Chapel Hill for the weekend with the plan to return Sunday to study, but unfortunately, they had a flat tire on their way back. They didn't have a spare, and they couldn't get help for a long time. As a result, they missed the final. The professor thought it over and then agreed they could make up the final the following day. The guys were elated, they were relieved, they went back, they studied, they went to bed early, they got up, they made it right to take their test the second time. The professor said, "This is going to be easy. Each of you go into a separate room," and he gave them 1 page. They took that page, they sat down and they looked at it, and the question was, for 95 points, which tire was flat? I hope you enjoyed it, Dave. Take care. Love you, my friend.
Well, hello, Dave, and good morning to you. Trying to figure out a good vintage joke from one vintage dude to another. A couple thoughts came across my mind. I was talking to Jerry Osborne, and I said, "Jerry, how are things going?" He said, "Well, Robert, I'm glad you asked. The darndest thing happened to me the other day." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I opened my refrigerator door, and there on the top shelf of my refrigerator is a squirrel sitting on a lawn chair. He's got a cold one in his hands and just kind of chilling out." And I said, startled, what are you doing in my refrigerator?" And the squirrel replied, "Dude, this is Westinghouse, isn't it?" See, this younger generation, one of them understood that, but I figured you and I, quasi being the same age, could figure that one out. And then, of course, what's big and mean and purple and conquered half the civilized world? Yeah, Alexander the Grape from the Great Vintage Jokes. And of course, wrapping up, since we're on the refrigerator topic anyway, how can you tell if you have an elephant in your refrigerator? You got it. Elephant tracks and the cream cheese. My friend, looking forward to seeing you again back on campus. Take care. Kirk out.
All right. If you are an American when you go into the bathroom and you're an American when you come out of the bathroom, well, what are you while you're in the bathroom? European.
Went to a bar the other day, got there a little bit early, was waiting for Dee to show up. got my laptop out, asked the bartender, "What's the Wi-Fi password?" He said, "You'll need to buy a drink first." So I asked for a Coke, said it was $3, paid him, and I asked, "Okay, what's the Wi-Fi password?" He said, "You'll have to buy a drink first, all lowercase, no spaces." Have a good one.
Why did the horse cross the road?
Why did the horse cross the road?
To get to the other neighborhood.
Hey Dave, hey, just want to see if I can bring some happiness for all the years of happiness that you've brought me. I always walked away a better man from our conversations. All right, so if these work, I'm going to take credit. If they don't work, we'll blame Dick. All right, so let's try this first. I'm also thinking about a career as a stand-up comic, so we'll see how this works out for us. All right, so let's go with the first one. All right, first one. What type of paper likes music? Wrapping paper. No. Okay, I scratched that one off. That one's gone. Get that out of here. We'll blame that on Dick. All right, let's try this next one. Let's try this next one here. Why did the Scarecrow get a promotion? He was outstanding in his field. Oh, that one didn't work either. All right, we'll take that one off. Ooh. It's a tough crowd. All right. Last one. Let's see if I can make this work. Let's see if I can bring this home. Okay. What do you call two happy mushrooms? Two fun guys? Two. No. You get it? You don't get it? No. Okay. All right. All right. We'll blame Dick. I'll keep my day job. Dave, we're thinking about you. My family's thinking about yours. We're praying for you guys. If we can do anything, please reach out. We love you. Take care.
Why did the cow cross the road?
Don't know.
To get to the other side.
So, a good day to you, Dave. Let me show you my mater patch. You see it behind me? Yeah, I've got some in some planters. And they've been beat up a little bit by the recent winds and the weather, but they're okay. But the purpose of this is I want to tell you about the Baptist couple that decided that they'd been going together for several years, and they figured it was time to get married. So they were betrothed in the New Hope Baptist Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm sure you know where that is. And they decided after their wedding that they would go to Burlington, and that's where they would spend their first night together. So the wedding went off without a hitch. Everything was really good. And as they were riding down the road, they're chatting and holding hands, as any newlywed couple will do. And his wife reached over and put her hand on his knee, and she said, "Honey, we can go further now." So they ended up driving to Asheville. Hey, bud, I hope you're having a good day.
All right. Did you hear about the cross-eyed teacher? He couldn't control his pupils.
Hey, Dave, got another one for you. There's an older man who had lived a good long life. Unfortunately, he had lost his wife about 30 years before this time. And he was quite wealthy. And unbeknownst to him, another person came into his life that was just as lovely as his first wife. Now, as happenstance, she was in her 20s. He was in his 80s. And he was enthralled with her, and she with him. And they decided to get married, and as they were preparing for the wedding night, the bride said, "Honey, I don't want anything to happen to you. I love you too much. So after we consummate our marriage, why don't you get to your own room, and then you can sleep, and we'll be ready to go in the morning." Well, they got married, they went to the hotel, and she went to her room, he went to his. Short time later, she heard a knock on the door. She goes to the door, and he's there. And she says, "Come on in." And they consummate their marriage. And she says, "Well, time to go back to your room." So they go back to the room. A few minutes later, she's getting ready for bed. She hears another knock at the door. She goes to the door. It's her husband. She says, "Come on in." They have another passionate lovemaking to consummate their marriage. And she says, okay, honey, you need to get back to your room. He goes back to the room. A few minutes later, another knock on the door. She goes back to the door. It's him again. They go back in. They make the most passionate, amorous effect with one another, consummating their marriage. And she turns to him. She says, honey, I've been with other men, but you have the most passion I've ever had. 3 times in one night is just simply amazing. And he looked at her and said, I've been here before. Hope everything's going well. Cheer up. Take care.
Good evening, Dave. I want to send a little levity to you along with others. Of course, we all know that it's right much of a joke that I'm even doing a video to send out, because we know I don't have particularly good technical skills, but I have an in-house assistant at the moment. I wanted to share with you that I am recovering from my fracture of my femur, and I am using a walker. When my 4-year-old granddaughter heard that I was using a walker, she said, Nana, I can tell you exactly how to do that. You just push the walker and you walk, and you push it and you walk. So if you need advice from a 4-year-old, I can get it for you. And this is an actual sign in a golf club in Scotland. I thought many people would be interested in this. Number 1, straight back, bent knees, feet and shoulder width apart. 2, form a loose grip. 3, keep your head down. 4, avoid a quick backswing. 5, stay out of the water. 6, try not to hit anyone. If you are taking too long, let others go ahead of you. Don't stand directly in front of others. Number 9, quiet please while others are preparing. 10, don't take extra strokes. Well done. Now flush the urinal, wash your hands, and go outside and tee off. Love ya. Bye.
Where do bees go to the bathroom? The BP station.
Hello again, Dave. Cindy Minot here. Okay, I think I got a good one for you this time. I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit so that it'll make it past, the Lisa Police, but I think you're gonna like it. Okay, so it's the first day of 3rd grade. And the teacher gets up in front of the class and she looks out at the sea of smiling, happy, freshly scrubbed faces. And she says, "Good morning, class. Welcome to the 3rd grade. My name is Mrs. Perry, and I will be your teacher this year. The first thing that I would like for us to do is to introduce ourselves to each other. But since you're in the 3rd grade now, we're going to do it a little bit differently than you've done it before. And I'll demonstrate. I'll tell you my name first and show you how I'd like to have it done." So she says, L-I, you've got your Lee. S-A, you got your sa, you got your Lisa. P-E-R, you got your pear, you got your sub-pear, you got your Lisa pear. R-Y, you got your re, you got your Perry, you got your sub-Perry, you got your Lisa Perry. My name is Lisa Perry. So, okay, class, you see how easy that is. We'll just start on the front and we'll go around and do the best you can and introduce yourselves to one another. Well, the little boy on the front row, his name was Archibald Shelbrook. And Archibald had gone stone white. His eyes were like saucers, and he's like, "There's no way I can do that." So Mrs. Perry says, "Okay, Archibald, would you like to go first?" And he's like, no, can't do it. And so she said, "Well, how about the next child?" And every child in the front row was shaking their hand. "No, we really don't think we can do this." Well, of course, in the back of the room, there's this little boy waving his arm. "I can do it. And so Mrs. Perry goes, "Okay, stand up, son, and tell us your name." So the little boy stands up, he takes a deep breath, and he goes, "My name is Merle Hamilton. M-E-R-L, you got your Merle. H-A-M, you got your ham, you got your Merle ham. I-L, you got your ill, you got your ham-ill, you got your Merle ham-ill. T-O-N, you got your ton, you got your ill-ton, you got your Hamilton, you got your Merle Hamilton. My name is Merle Hamilton. Oh, Mrs. Perry, she's just thrilled. She's, oh, that was wonderful. That was so perfect. Okay, class, if Merle can do it, I know you can do it too. Let's at least give it a try. We'll start up here at the front with Archibald. So little Archibald stands up. He takes a deep breath and he goes, my name is Archibald Ashobrook. A-R-C-H, you got your arch. I, you got your eye, you got your arch eye. B-A-L-D, you got your bald, you got your eyebald, you got your arch eyebald. A-S, you got your ass, you got your bald ass, you got your eyebald ass, you got your arch eyebald ass. H-O-L, you got your hole, you got your asshole, you got your bald asshole, you got your eyebald asshole, you got your arch eyebald asshole. B-R-U-K, you got your brook, you got your hole brook, you got your asshole brook, you got your bald asshole brook, you got your eyebald asshole brook, you got your arch eyebald asshole brook. My name is Archibald Ashobrook, and damn you, Merle Hamilton. Hope you enjoyed it.
And when a cow does laugh at my joke, what do you call her?
I don't know.
Laughing stock.
Hey Dave, got a few farm jokes for you here. Why did the pig dump her boyfriend? Because he was a real bore. What did the cow say to the baby calf? It's past your bedtime. Why do cows have hooves instead of feet? Because they lactose. Did you hear about the farmer that built a pig-powered car? Had to get rid of it though, because every time he turned the corner, the tire squealed. Driving down the road one night, a farmer was pulled over by a state trooper. The state trooper said, "Sir, do you realize your wife fell out of the truck a few miles back?" He said, "Oh, thank God, I thought I was going deaf." Take care, Dave.
All right. What are the strongest days of the week? Well, there's Saturday and Sunday, because the rest are just weekdays.
Hey, Dave and Gina. I know you're going to look at me and say, oh my gosh, you got a haircut. I got a bowl cut. So, how does NASA organize a company party? They plan it. I cannot believe I just got fired from the calendar factory. All I did was take a day off. Okay, you start laughing here. I was a bookkeeper for 10 years. The local library wasn't too happy with me. And last but not least, as a scarecrow, people say I'm outstanding in my field. But hey, it's all in my genes. Love you guys. Take care.
How about if she doesn't make milk? What do you call her?
I don't know.
A milk dud.
Dave, I had to video this. You won't believe it. I've been out here fishing and I met this man. He was a soldier from Vietnam, and I know you love doing Adopt a Soldier, and he has been fishing, and he had the craziest thing happen to him fishing the other day. It was so memorable, he decided to take it and write it down and make a poem out of it. So I thought I'd introduce him to you. So hold on one second. Let me get this camera over. Sir, I know you're fishing, but you said your name was Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Yeah. You were telling me about a story that happened to you when you were fishing one day and wrote a poem about it. Could you just tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I had my boat out one day and wrote this little poem about it. Yeah, I call it The Bass.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
It goes, the morning was hot and sultry, and the sun was shining bright. I'd fished long and hard and hadn't had a bite. So I sit back and smoke a cigarette and take a little break as I silently watch the wildlife around the edge of the lake. I floated by a stump sticking out of the water's edge, and started to make a cast, but sit back to rest instead. A squirrel come down a tree limb for a prize that awaited him. A large, ripe acorn on the stump's outer rim. The squirrel dropped into the stump to claim his tasty prize. When out of the water exploded a bass of enormous size. The squirrel floundered and swam in an ever-tightening curl. When the bass came back to engulf him in a massive, boiling swirl. I kept my cool through all this, but it really made me jump when the bass turned and came back and put the acorn back on the stump.
Oh my goodness. He put the acorn on the stump, did he?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you might be having a big fish coming on your pole right now. I better let you go.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey Dave, hope you enjoy. Cindy, Dick, and Dave take a trip to the beach. As they are walking along the beach, they come across a lantern. Cindy picks it up and out pops a genie. I will give you each one wish for a total of 3 wishes, says the genie. Cindy says, I'm a car dealer, and my father was a car dealer, and my son will also be a car dealer. I want a brand new car dealership building so I can provide even better service to everyone in the area. With a blink of the genie's eye, boom, our brand new car dealership building with all the latest technology appears. Dick was amazed, so he said, my favorite town is Chapel Hill. It's a great town, and I want to retire there. I want to put a wall around Chapel Hill so that no one else can come into our precious city. Again, with a blink of the genie's eye, poof, there was a wall around Chapel Hill. Finally remaining is Dave. He asked the genie, I'm very curious. Can you tell me more about this wall? The genie explains, well, it's 100 feet high, 50 feet thick, and nothing can get in or out. Now, what is your wish? Dave smiles and says, fill it up with water. Thanks. Hope you enjoy. Bye.
That's pretty cool, but I've never heard of that movie. I'd like for Steve to be here so I can ask you.
Well, hello, Alan. Hey, you waited until we were closed to finally decide to pay to come see a movie?
Well, you know me.
Well, listen. This is the cart buckets that we have inside the theater there, and we've been closed, so we hadn't been collecting too much. Since you haven't made a contribution this year, you have avoided all the meetings where we talked about cart. I wondered if you maybe wouldn't make a little contribution. There's green folding money in here, so you don't need to be limited.
Is that the same bucket that you collected the money in and wrote a personal check and made me look bad bragging about I wrote a check for $500?
I always say this is from the customers of the Gym Theater.
Well, you didn't say anything about that till I called you out on it. That's all I can say.
I think your memory is getting bad.
Well, I don't know about that, but if you want a contribution, I'll make a contribution. And I want this to be seen that I'm making a contribution. But I got a question, Steve.
What's that?
You got any change in there?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me have a little change. Let me have 50 cents back if you would.
So Alan made a $1 contribution and wants two quarters back.
I appreciate that, Steve.
I think that says a lot about your character.
Never let it be said that I didn't make a contribution. Now tell me about this mask thing. How come you wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask? We're out in open sunlight.
You're supposed to be protecting yourself unless you're social distancing. You're supposed to be at least 6 feet away, but I don't even want to get within 6 feet of you. 8-10 feet will serve me well.
Well, that's one thing we finally agreed on is that distance. I don't care about being close to you in normal times.
Absolutely. Well, this young man coming down the sidewalk with his dog here now, I might have to walk down this way a little bit so he can get past.
Well,
without getting too close.
Well, that'd be all right too.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you, Steve.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you, and I appreciate that very generous contribution that you've made today.
Could I get a receipt?
I'll work on that.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Dave. You must know that I really, really like you if I am doing a joke, because it is not my thing. Yet all these little sparkles you see is my thing. Anyways, a baseball walks into a bar and a bartender throws him out. See, it is pretty bad. Anyways, miss you.
Hey, bud. Hope I'm dressed okay for you. Have I got a story to tell? Had to go to Raleigh last week. Reminded me of our trip to Raleigh in Cindy's van to pick up those community and schools books years ago. Anyway, I was driving around the Beltway and this policeman stopped me. I pulled over. He came up and I rolled my window down. He said papers. I said scissors. I win. And so I rolled my window back up and took off. Well, he must have wanted a rematch because he kept following me. And after a while, I pulled over again. He comes up to my window. I roll it down. He says, "Do you know who I am?" And I said, "Nope, I don't. My mama told me not to speak to strangers," so I rolled my window up and took off. Well, this time he got serious and got a couple of his buddies along, so I figured I better stop again. He got me out of my car, and after putting my handcuffs on me, I turned around and said, "John Wesley, you do not have your father's sense of humor." That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, Dave, I think you're going to like this one too. This is one of my mom's favorites. There were these two older Southern ladies sitting in rocking chairs on the front porch of a gracious Southern home and reminiscing about their lives and drinking their iced tea. And the first lady, whose home it was, she said to her friend, "You know, when my daddy died, he left me this enormous Southern home, charming residence with the columns, the porch upon which we sit now." And the friend said, "Well, how nice." They continued their rocking, and the first friend said, "You know, and when my daddy died, he left me 3,000 acres of prime farmland upon which we gaze right now." And the friend said, "Well, how nice." And then the first friend again, she said, "You know, and when my daddy died, he left me a herd of 500 of the finest Angus beef cattle in the whole Southeast." And the second friend goes, "Well, how nice." And the first lady said, "Oh my, I've done all the talking. I am so sorry. What did your daddy leave you?" And the friend said, "Well, when my daddy died, all he left me was enough money to go to finishing school." "Finishing school? What did they teach you at finishing school?" "They taught you how to say how nice instead of F-U. Thought you'd like it. See ya."
Where they got the shakes? You call them beef jerky.
Hey Dave, since we first met on the basketball committee, I thought I would make all my jokes about basketball. So here's the first one just for you. I forget how it starts. Okay. Dave, did you know that the NC State basketball team doesn't even have a website? They can't figure out how to string together 3 W's. Okay, what's the second one?
Why can't you get to a fairly officiated basketball game in the jungle?
Dave, why can't you get a fairly officiated basketball game in the jungle? Because of the cheetahs! And my last one.
If a basketball player gets athlete's foot.
Oh yeah. If an Dave. Dave. If a basketball player gets athlete. Dave.
I'm just gonna leave this as is.
Dave. If a basketball player gets athlete's foot, what does an astronaut get? Mistletoe! Love you guys. Take care of yourself. Hope you loved this video.
Oh, hey Dave. Have you enjoyed hearing all these jokes? We have had one sort of time hearing all these jokes, from tall tales to all these fun jokes, and it was all about you. We want you to have a great day, and we hope this has been a memorable experience for you. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we love you, Dave. Do 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 do.